Robert Plank Show, episode 93. Simplify. Become desperate to reduce clutter, get your life back, eliminate procrastination, and increase motivation. Welcome back to the Robert Plank Show. Leonardo da Vinci says that simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. And we're going to be focusing today on how you can get back to basics and make things simple, and many times by kind of cutting out all the fat, by simplifying everything, you can finally think again, and you can in fact make more money and get more done in less time while having more fun. And that's the whole goal here today. So I'm going to give you 10, you can call them steps or activities or things to think about. And normally in this program, we talk about running a home-based online business. So if you forgive me if you have tuned in, if this is your first time listening and you're just looking for some regular motivation, this is still the place for you. Don't hang up. But I might kind of dive into a little bit of internet marketing stuff. My name is Robert Plank, and we have different courses on, like, one is called Dropship CEO, which is how to sell products on Amazon, how to sell physical items. We have a course called Make a Product, which is how to publish a book also on Amazon. We have a course called Profit Dashboard, which is how to make money by providing services on Fiverr. We have a course called Membership Cube, which is how to run a membership site. So all these possible ways of making money, and maybe you've tried some of them. Maybe you have different websites, or you have different things in motion, plates spinning in the air. There's always all these weird different metaphors, right? I have plates spinning, I have balls in the air, I'm being pulled in different directions. Those always kind of sound really scary, don't they? And I found that I get to the point, and maybe you do too, where I just get completely burned out and overloaded. And I'll notice that for a few days at a time, I'll just be completely stuck. I'll say, well, my environment hasn't changed. My thinking hasn't changed that much, but every time I go to sit at the computer, every time I go to get those things done that need doing, I just can't seem to even get started, and I get so distracted. I feel more distractible than normal, and I feel like I'm not myself. I feel like I'm kind of a shadow of myself. And usually, if this happens, for me, it's a sign that just too many things have piled up, and we kind of have to start over. In the same way that maybe you're really bad with organizing your email, right? And maybe just emails pile up, pile up, pile up. Or maybe you've come back from a long trip and you see, man, there's 2,000 emails there. And what do? Select all, delete, start over. And many times we have to do that. And so a really good example, and the first thing I'm going to kind of dive into today is content creation. So whether you're in internet marketing or not, you probably have a need at some point to generate some kind of content, right? Like, I mean, if you're a student, you have to crank out a term paper. If you have a day job, maybe there's some kind of report you have to write. But at least in my case, what I like to do is, for example, right now, podcast episodes. I have some topics I want to talk about. I sit down, I talk, I crank it out, and I like to get as far ahead as I possibly can. It's a really good feeling when I say this whole upcoming month, for as far as podcasts, is completely filled. And likewise throughout the week, what I do is I mark it to my email list, right? So on Monday they get an email, Tuesday email, Wednesday email, Thursday, Friday different emails, and they all have different subject lines. They're all usually promoting the same offer. They're all usually going to the same link, but I give people different reasons why they would want to click over and check out our website remote product. And by the way, website remote is today's sponsor. Go right now to websiteremote.com/trial and find out how you can manage all your WordPress sites all in one place. So anyway, Website Remote might be a product, an offer that we promote that week. And I really like the idea of getting super far ahead. And I think that maybe you've kind of geeked out on this, if maybe ever since the day you realized that if you have a WordPress blog, an online journal, you can actually schedule out future content. In the same way that if you have a podcast, you can record yourself weeks ahead and just schedule it all out and kind of see it play out on its own. In an email autoresponder, same kind of idea. You can schedule out the whole week, and many weeks I do. On Monday, I'll just schedule out the whole week's worth of emails, and then that's a thing that I don't have to think about. So at first you think, well, that's a great tool, but then the problem is that many times we get stuck in over planning. And I think a lot about the way that I used to act 10 plus years ago when I wasn't successful, when I wasn't making money, versus now when I am successful and I am making money. And the big problem back then was that I overplanned. I had a big, thick notebook full of doodles, full of ideas, full of all these different, world domination kind of ideas. I thought I'd have 10 employees. I'd have a web hosting service. I'd have all these different software products. And I do have a bunch of software products, but we can't think too far ahead for a number of reasons. Once we start thinking down a path, it's hard to stop. And then there's the problem of if you think in the future for things to be too detailed, you almost kind of experience it, right? Like if you said, okay, well, I'm going to write this book and it's going to talk about this, and this, and you map it all out, in a way, you've kind of lived as if you have created it. And the same way, if you say, well, then what would happen if I sold 100,000 copies of my book and then I would get all these cool reviews and then I would use the money to then and go do this? Well, then not only are you counting your eggs before they're hatched, but you also kind of live through that, and then you're no longer motivated to actually go out and do it because you kind of live through what would have happened, right? And anything else that comes after that is it's a letdown. So instead of doing all that weird stuff, only think 3 content ideas ahead. What does that mean? It means if you're coming up with a book, and I mean it's one thing to have an outline and know your chapters, but only have in your head the next 3 chapters. If you have a blog, only have the next 3 blog post topics in your head. If you have a podcast, only plan the next 3 episodes. And if you say, "Oh no, but I can do way more than that," well, great. Think 3 ahead and then knock out those podcast episodes and then think 3 more ahead. You'd be surprised, especially in like television, things like that. They usually don't have the whole season of a TV show planned. They're only doing a few episodes at a time, and that's the strategy you need to have too, because otherwise it makes things so dang complicated. So that applies for me in internet marketing, but I think it can apply to whatever your situation is if you're outside of internet marketing. Now, the next thing is to have your own kind of structure, your own kind of system. And so for me, that is that, and I kind of alluded to this a few minutes ago. Every week, I promote one offer. So like I said, websiteremote.com, I'll send out an email on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, saying something different, but giving people a different reason to go and click and check out that link. So I'll promote one thing that week and I'll email every day, and then I'll have a webinar in the middle if possible. And the reason why that's my structure is I've tried all kinds of different other combinations, and that is just what works for me. So have your own system or your own weekly structure. Now, the next thing is if you're overwhelmed, overloaded, in need of some simplification, don't check email, don't check Facebook, don't check Skype for a few days. Don't worry, the world will still be here when you come back. And many times I think that, oh no, like if a customer buys something and they need help with something right away, and maybe they go to the help desk and maybe they email me, and if they don't get a response in 2 hours, my life will be over. Well, no, usually that's my thinking. I come back in a couple of days, and sure, maybe there are a few hundred emails piled up, but once I delete all the stuff I don't actually need to see, there's probably only like 3 emails, and I knock those out in about 3 minutes. So don't check all that stuff for a few days. If you're in this weird kind of rut, this kind of funk, something needs to change. The path you've been going on, not forever, but the last couple of days has not been good. So you need a break from the usual noise that constantly hits you. And I find that many times I fall into this rut because I'm uninspired, because the emails that come in, the offers that I'm seeing are just garbage. And I mean, usually if sometimes I'll see like a friend of mine or something promote something and do really great, that kind of gets me pumped up. Sometimes I'll see an enemy, and I mean, I'm sure you're on some of your enemies' email lists, so you check out some of your enemies' products. And if an enemy is doing something, or they kind of do like a half-assed job, it motivates me to do better. But then if what comes in emails and on Facebook is just a bunch of just uninspiring stuff, then I say, well, this isn't helping me. If anything, it's kind of putting me in a mediocre mindset. I need to go and shut it all down. So enough of like shutting it down and what not to do, but what's the solution? Well, that's why the fourth thing I'm going to tell you today. So the first one was only think 3 content ideas ahead. Number 2 was have your own system or weekly structure. Number 3 was don't check email, Facebook, or Skype or social media for a few days. And now 4 daily tasks. I mentioned this in every podcast episode, so I'm not going to go into a bunch of detail, but you can join our group at 4dailytasks.com/group. Okay, and even if you're not into marketing, the more the merrier. Come on in, and this is a group where every day we post our 4 money making tasks for the day. All right, and it's always one 10-minute task, a 40-minute task, a 40-minute task, and another 40-minute task. And these are all things that are completable. These are all milestones that we're hitting. So, for example, a task could be finish chapter 2, not work on 20% of book, or not research about such and such. It might be finish watching a course on blank, or it might be get to page 50 of this book I'm reading, or it might be for one of the 10-minute tasks, it might be send today's email or schedule Friday's email or something. But they're all money making tasks that you can prove you finished, that are actually finished, not just new things you're starting. And they're definitely not things where you say continue on whatever. It's not work on whatever. It's just 4 of your money making tasks. And for me, what's been helping lately, because I mean this system kind of always changes a little bit over time for me, what's helped me a lot is that one of those 4 tasks is some form of content creation, right? And content creation doesn't have to be writing. It can be, well, I mean, it could be like scheduling an email, but like right now, I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you in a podcast. This is my form of content creation. I might make a YouTube video or a sales letter or something, but for business related, usually computer related, finishable, provable, money making tasks. And one of those is some form of content creation. And number 5 is to don't force it. Okay, don't force it. And that means that if you can't seem to get anything done, then don't just sit at the computer, because that's gonna make it even worse, and it's gonna take even longer to get out of your hole. And you know what? You're always gonna the good news also is that there's always a light at the end of the tunnel. This funk you're in is always temporary, but the question I want to pose to you is this going to last 12 hours for you, or is it going to last 12 days or 12 weeks? So if we can't avoid it, if we're already in it, the best we can do is to shorten it as short as possible. And sitting at the computer and trying to force yourself to do it is not the way to fix things. So if you can't seem to get anything done, then get away from the computer. And also, while you're at it, get away from watching a bunch of TV, get away from the binge watching, and get away from playing on your smartphone, because it's going to be it's going to use, I'm not a scientist, but I think it uses the same part of your brain. Like being at the computer, being at the iPad or the iPhone, at least for me, it feels like it's like that same feeling. It's still using that same part of my brain. And you know how sometimes when you haven't been on your phone or your iPad or your tablet for a couple days, and you just can't wait to just get on the computer and make some money and do some tasks. And then if you go and play video games all day on your iPhone, it's like it feels like it's used up that chemical or something, and you don't even feel like going on the computer because you're tired somehow from playing around on the tablet. So what's the answer? Well, I mean, do your best to stay away from the TV and the phone, maybe do some housework, possibly read to collect your thoughts. Okay, so read like an actual physical book with pages to get the motivation back and get back in state. Now, number 6 is to stop multitasking. And this I believe that this is probably the biggest contributor towards overload and procrastination and all that stuff, is just that we're switching between tasks. And there's been all these different studies that people show that sometimes switching, if you get one little interruption and you have to switch back, it sometimes takes 15 to 30 minutes to get back on track for where you were just from like the little 2-minute interruption. So the answer is to not get interrupted. Turn off all your pop-ups, keep your phone either out of your office or tucked away in a drawer, powered off or on silent, so you can focus on what's right in front of you, those money-making tasks. I mean, it's the worst thing in the world to be, right there in that focus, in that flow state, recording a video, recording an audio, and then bzz, bzz, oh, now I got to go and check in the drawer and see what's going on. And then even if you just go and check real quick, then guess what happens for like minutes after that is in the side of your head you're thinking, oh, I wonder if it's going off again. I know I powered it down, but I wonder if it's just waiting on me for a message. I know it's on silent, but I wonder if there's like five messages there that are just like waiting for me. I know I closed the Facebook browser, but I wonder if there's like that one little notification from someone or one little message, and oh my gosh, they're gonna like think I don't love them because I'm not getting back to them. Well, you don't even want to be distracted because your brain's always going to be thinking about that. Now you might be asking, well, isn't my brain going to be thinking about that anyway? Like if I make sure before doing anything at the computer or any office related stuff, if I put my phone away, turn off Skype and instant messengers and stuff, close Facebook and Gmail and everything, aren't I going to be wondering if someone's emailing you? Well, maybe at first, but the goal is for you to train yourself and to get that routine of your own figured out so that you can just be there and focused and not even, I mean, get that out of your head that there's messages coming in. Of course there's messages coming in, but you're not on duty as far as incoming messages come in until you're done with the money making process of building your own business, or if you're not in your own business, whatever kind of computer office related job. You have to get totally focused and stay in that kind of state. Now number 7, if you're overloaded or simplified, or you're one of those people that says, man, I'm so busy I can't even get one thing figured out, well, here's my answer to most of your objections. It's just 1 hour. I'm actually thinking about I probably shouldn't say this, but I'm thinking about putting out a book called It's Just 1 Hour. I think I can figure out a better title, but the point is, any task that is important to you to make money, you could probably put an hour into it. If you've got to write that sales letter, create those PowerPoint slides, record those podcasts, it'll take you a lot less than an hour. And I think that a lot of people think that they're more important than they actually are, and that everyone needs their attention on everything. But you know what? If you can carve out an hour out of the day, and whether that is waking up an hour earlier, going to bed an hour later, having special time blocked out between coming home from your day job, or maybe an hour in the middle of the day when you tell your family, any other time of day we can hang out, but this 1 hour I seem to be completely shut out, because that way you can be 100% at the computer on your business, and then when it's family time, you can be 100% at your family time. So put even just one focused hour into it. That means all other windows closed. And a really good motivator for me here is to start a timer on my computer. So I'll just do a Google search and search countdown timer, and then there's a screen built right into the Google browser screen, Google search website, and you can just type in 1 hour go, and that way it's ticking down and you have that ticking clock. And this helps me so much, having a 1 hour or 40 minute or even a 10 minute ticking clock. Now why? Because if the time's ticking away and I've only got 10 minutes, now 8 minutes, now 6 minutes, I'm not going to be tempted to go and check Facebook or check my email, or let myself kind of sit around for a couple minutes, because then there only will be 2 minutes later once I actually get back into it. So it's just 1 hour. If there's something that's so pressing, usually you can get it either done in an hour or get it moved in a forward direction, get it to the next milestone. So you're dreading writing or finishing that book, and you only have one chapter written. What would it take for you to get to chapter 2? If you set a timer for 1 hour and chapter 2 absolutely had to be finished by the end of that hour, it doesn't matter how rushed it is or typos, but chapter 2 is in some form finished. It's just 1 hour. Set a timer, go ahead and do it. Number 8, clear files off your desktop every week. So I don't know what your personal organization kind of situation is, but for me, going back in the day when I wasn't making money, I had a huge notebook of ideas. I had no shortage of ideas, and my desktop was just cluttered and filled with all kinds of icons and special folders and things I'd bought and never used and things I'd saved just in case. And every time in like a coaching situation when we deal with someone who is struggling, who is not making money, who was making money but wondered what the heck ever happened, who can't even complete one single thing, I look at their desktop and there's just so many things on the desktop. There's so many icons. There's so many browser tabs going, and you have to make a conscious effort to get rid of that stuff. So here's what I mean. And at least the way that my structure is. Yours might be different, but I have an external hard drive. All right, I have an external hard drive that every night backs up to the cloud, backs up to Amazon S3. And I'll talk about backups in a minute, but I have an external hard drive that backs up to the cloud. And if your internet connection is fast enough where you don't even need that step, well, that's great. And so actually, about that though, I've okay, it's really important that you back up your. I'm just going to skip ahead. It's really important that you back up your stuff to the cloud, right? And so that way, like if something happens to your computer or hard drive crashes or whatever, you still have those files. And I know a lot of people that they don't use the cloud, and then they're just like always attached to this crappy computer that they can never get rid of. I know other people who do use the cloud, but then it's funny whenever I need to get a file from them, they don't really have it for me, or it's been deleted, and I think, but I always hear about you lose files, but then you also tell me that you're automatically backed up to the cloud. So what I kind of have, my thinking is I have the best of both worlds. I have a hard drive right here in my office. I think it's 2 terabytes. I know I need to get a bigger one, but what I like about this one is it's called a G Safe, and it does what's called a mirror. So there's this box with 2 hard drives in it, and when it writes, and it hooks it to my USB port, and when it writes files, it writes that file to hard drive number one and hard drive number two. That way, in case one of the hard drives fails, which sometimes that happens, I have the other one. I really, really don't like those hard drives that are meant to be portable that you kind of plug into a laptop and lug around because, well, if you're taking them in, having them in your backpack, putting it up in the overhead compartment of a plane, if it's bouncing around in the backseat of your car, that hard drive is going to have a very short lifespan. So I like to have this mirrored hard drive, but it also backs up to the cloud. That way I have all my files here when I need them because my internet connection is pretty fast, but it's not lightning fast. And one thing I hear from people all the time is that they have a slow internet connection. They're in a small town out in the country. And I still think even if you're out in the country, find a way to upgrade to the fastest internet connection possible. I pay over $100 a month. I think it's $120 a month for my internet access. I don't have cable TV. I don't have live TV. I guess I could have thrown that in there about simplifying and becoming desperate to reduce clutter. But I don't have cable TV. I just pay for internet. So 120 bucks to have a slightly faster connection right it off of my business because I need those nightly backups. So my point of all this is that I have files on my desktop, and when I need to record something, I just save it right there on my desktop. Okay, so like if I'm recording voiceovers for Fiverr, or I have to write a quick document, or I'm saving a file, like I'm grabbing like a WordPress plugin to my, saving it to my computer, going over to some site to install it, I just toss it on my desktop, just because that way I don't have to hunt around for where I just saved something 5 minutes ago, right? I know it's always going to be on my desktop. But then after a few days, then the desktop just becomes cluttered with all kinds of stuff. So what do? Well, in this external hard drive, I have folders for different products. Like I have a folder for our Double Agent Marketing membership site. I have a folder for our graphic dashboard site, for our profit dashboard site, for things like that. I have a folder for the Robert Plank Show. And then I have these monthly overflow folders. And they're named like this. They're named like Overflow 2017-01 January, right? 2017-02 February. So they're named in such a way that they will sort alphabetically in order, but then I also kind of have the month name in there as well. So why do I do it like this? Well, I do it like this because I don't feel like organizing all my garbage. And I know that most of the things that I had on my desktop are garbage. And they're things that I'll never need again. But I know that if I don't have somewhat of an organization to them, I'll never be able to find the one little piece of garbage if I need it. So I have these overflow folders month to month, and I know that, okay, well, if I'm going to look 3 months back, I just have three folders to look through. And if there's something that I will need permanently, like for example, this episode of the Robert Plank Show or a recording of one of our projects, it'll be in that folder. And then it all, like I said, it all automatically, using a program called Cloudberry Backup, synchronizes up to Amazon. And I still haven't figured out, like, I store my desktop backups and things and my website backups on Amazon. And then for Google Drive, that'll be more of like my accounting stuff and my spreadsheets and things. And I haven't really quite figured out why it is that I store some things on Dropbox, some on Google Drive, some on Amazon. But I just know that like my full-on backups go to Amazon. So the point of saying all that stuff is that, well, just from observation, people who don't have some kind of a backup are kidding themselves. People who only rely on the cloud or who tell me they rely on the cloud seem to lose files quite a bit. So then what I do is I do my best to have the best of both worlds. An external mirrored backup hard drive that never leaves the office, and then every night it backs up to Amazon, so that it doesn't bog down my internet connection. And what's great about this whole nightly backup thing is that it doesn't have to back up your whole entire hard drive every night, just the files and things that have changed. So if you can get to the point where everything that's on your hard drive right now is up in the cloud, well, then every night it only has to back up a little tiny bit. And there's the thing, what's it called? It's called like Amazon I/O or Amazon Input Output or something, where they have a program where you can mail in your hard drive to them. And I think it cost me about $100, and I had to mail in like the external hard drive plus the like the power cord and stuff like that. And they went and they copied everything off the hard drive right onto Amazon S3 and mailed it back to me. Okay, the program is called AWS Import Export. That way I'm giving you the actual term for that. So the point of all that, with all that technical stuff, is that I will save everything to my desktop. That way I don't have to hunt around folders and things like that. And then every week or so, I will take everything, all the crap I had on the desktop, and put it into this monthly overflow folder. And everything that I save on those external hard drives gets backed up to the cloud automatically. So it's there when I need it. I don't have to wait for it to download from the cloud. And I also have a backup, because you can never have too many backups. I'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it. Now, number 9 is that I don't have a notebook filled with ideas. I've said this a couple of times already. What I have is, right now on my desk, I have one single piece of paper and one pen. And I didn't have to write anything or doodle anything for today's program, but I just have that there because sometimes I have to write down like a number or things like that. But I just have one piece of paper and one pen. And you know what I do is, and this comes in handy for things like meetings. So like if I'm meeting with someone, doing a coaching call, and they say something, I'll kind of jot it down. That way I can listen to what they had to say without having to hang on to something. Or if I have different ideas that come up while someone else is talking, I just write down the couple of bullet points and talk to them. But here's what's important. First of all, never write down passwords. Okay, use a program like LastPass to manage your passwords. But I will jot down or maybe doodle or take some notes on a piece of paper. But then once both sides of the paper are filled, and it's just like a plain white piece of printer paper, not like a lined paper or anything like that. Once the piece of paper is filled up, I will crumple it up, throw it in the garbage. Okay, so, and the same way is for things like notes. Like for example, I'll kind of take some notes, make some bullet points for planning podcast episodes, for example, and I'll go ahead and make those bullet points. And then guess what? Once I have this recorded, I mean, we're going to wrap this up in a couple of minutes. Once I finish talking to you here today, and I upload this recording to Libsyn, which is the file hosting service we use, we explain our whole system in podcastcrusher.com. But once I have today's audio uploaded and online, I'm going to take those notes I had and I'm going to go and publish them to my blog. Now, once it's on my blog as a blog post, I don't need those notes anymore because I published them, right? And then in some episodes, I get the what I said transcribed, and I think we're going to do that in this episode too. And once the transcript comes back, you know what going to do? I'm going to copy it all over, and I'm going to blow away the notes we had, and I'm going to just put down the exact word for word transcription right there in the blog post. There's no point in keeping the notes and the bullet points for old stuff, for stuff from years ago. That's just being a digital pack rat. And now, speaking of being a digital pack rat, let me circle back around to file everything away and have it on auto backup. So the hard drive I have once again is called a G-Safe external drive, and then I use a program. So I think the G-Safe cost me $300. I'm not sure if they still make them anymore. All right, a quick trip to Amazon says that they don't, but it looks like Western Digital. They sometimes go by the name WD. Looks like they have really cornered the market on this. This looks amazing. So at the moment that we're talking here, you can get a 16 terabyte hard drive for 500 bucks. And if we were going to go small and go for like this is a little $300 model, 8 terabytes. And what's cool, it looks like they're called the MyBook Duo desktop. So what's cool about these is it looks like they also do the dual drive mirroring, right? So we don't want to get the thin one, we want to get the thick one that holds two hard drives in there. That way, like we said, in case one of those hard drives fails, you have a backup. And in this day and age, you have to have a cloud backup as well. So I use a G-Safe. That's just what I have. But what I would get right now for you is a WD MyBook Duo Desktop RAID drive. So look for like dual RAID drive, I guess, in general on Amazon. So that way you have those two hard drives, but also use the program called Cloudberry Backup and save it up to your Amazon S3 account. My Amazon S3 account, I think charges me about $100 per month. If I was really looking to save money, I could probably move it to Google Drive because I believe Google Drive gives you like a terabyte or a few terabytes for $10. The cost of storage is going down more and more. And if you're listening to this podcast years in the future, you're probably thinking, geez, storage used to cost more than a penny per terabyte. So anyway, back up your everything on your computer to an external hard drive, and don't skip this step. Every night, back it up to the cloud like with Amazon S3, because otherwise, I mean, you're going to really regret not taking those couple of minutes, not paying that few $100 for that business expense in order to back your files up just in case. So, I don't even know where this phrase came from, but in today's title, the thing that I've called this for years is to become desperate to reduce clutter. And so, haven't you ever looked around your house or looked around, like maybe your car, and so one day you just said, you know what, so much stuff is piled up, and I kind of let it slide a little bit. I compromised a little bit, and I said, okay, well, I'll just kind of toss my dirty laundry off to the side. I'll just toss this candy bar wrapper in my car, and guess what, piles up, piles up, piles up until the day that you just can't take it anymore, right? And so I want you to think about the satisfaction you get of taking out that vacuum. And sometimes you are in the mood, not always, but sometimes you're in the mood where you're like, I kind of want to vacuum my car, right? Or you're in the mood where you make your bed, you spend 30 seconds making your bed in the morning, and you say, you know what, I feel accomplished, I feel proud of myself for taking this little bit of action. And so that's what it means to become desperate to reduce clutter, is that if you kind of let things slide and let your desk papers pile up, pile up, pile up, and suddenly you're in a mess. You just have to clear it all out. And I think that, in the same way that we all have ups and downs in life, or that, sometimes the economy is doing great, the economy crashes. Many times in our own life, it's almost like our personality crashes, or our happiness crashes. And if we suddenly hit burnout, overload, procrastination, and things are just too cluttered up and in need of simplification, well, this is a good time to just clean things out. And the reason why you probably got into this place is because you didn't have a very good system, or maybe you kind of did a little bit of backsliding where you had something going great, you took it for granted, you got lazy a little bit, and it's good. Now today, this is a little bit of a wake up call if it's time to simplify. There are 10 actions to take to do that. Only think 3 content ideas ahead, or if you're not in internet marketing, only think 3 things ahead or 3 projects ahead. Have your own system or weekly structure. Don't check email, Facebook, or Skype for a few days. Use 4 daily tasks. Don't have a to-do list because those don't work. Don't try to prioritize your to-do list because that's just making something that doesn't work even less. Instead, just have 4 things that you're going to do today, all money making tasks, and batch up or chunk up all those little tasks into little 40-minute sessions. That way you can just knock it all out. Stop multitasking, and it's just 1 hour. Even if you say I'm so busy, you can find somewhere in there 1 hour in the day. Set a timer if it helps to knock out the things that need to get knocked out. Clear files off your desktop every week. Don't have a notebook filled with ideas. Instead, just have your one piece of paper and then file everything away once you're done with it and have it on an automatic backup. That way you don't have to think about it. Now, speaking of things like automatic backups and simplifying and managing everything, what I want you to do is go ahead and take advantage of the free 99-cent trial right now of Website Remote by going to websiteremote.com/trial. Website Remote allows you to manage all of your WordPress sites all in one place. And that means that if you have 100 sites and you say, I need to update them all, click a button, updates them all. I need to go and see which sites are online and which aren't. Look at that and you can get that list right there. If you say, out of my 100 sites, I need to go and log into one and run backups or check on some customer, then you can just click and take advantage of our one-click login feature and be able to log into these sites without a password. The place for that is websiteremote.com/trial. But anyway, that is how to simplify your life and simplify your business. And if you don't think that you need to simplify, then you're just kidding yourself. This is a very important goal to have, is to have just your mind free of clutter. You can only keep a handle on 3 or 4 things in your head at a time anyway, so it doesn't make any sense to just have this mess and to have all these things dragging you down, pulling you in different directions, whatever weird phrase we've all invented to almost be proud of being busy. We're proud to be workaholics. We're proud to be just running around and putting out fires, there's another one, without actually moving things forward, without making progress, without things getting easier, without making more money. And what I want is for you to make more money and for things to get easier and more fun for you over time. Simplifying is the way to do that. Please be sure to rate and review us on iTunes at robertplankshow.com/iTunes. While you're there leaving a review, make sure to click that subscribe button. That way you can get tuned into future Robert Plank Show episodes. And go and check us out at robertplank.com to see previous back issues. And use our website remote trial at websiteremote.com/TRIAL. I'm Robert Plank. I hope that helped you to simplify, become desperate to reduce clutter, get your life back, eliminate procrastination and burnout and overload, and increase motivation. Talk to you next time. Have a great week. Keep making money, and thank you.